Guds frid allesammans. Ja, det händer saker över hela världen och jag har varit riktigt trött ett par dagar, men nu kommer det äntligen en video då. Och jag har tittat på Jakibs Amir Sarfati. Han är ju själv jude och bosatt i Israel, och jag tänkte att många av er äldre som inte hänger med engelskan, så ska jag helt kort dra vad han säger i den här videon som vi ska spela upp sen. Jag drar upp ett klipp sen i slutet. Han är inte färgad av falsk media, säger han. Och han kallar dem för medianiterna. Det var väl fyndigt. Ja, ska vi sammanfatta vad han säger ungefär så här då. Netanyahus försvarsminister 2013 var Ehud Barak. Och någonting hände med honom från 2016. Då han kom ut och sa att Israel på randen av en katastrof och vände sig helt mot Netanyahu. Det var ju väldigt konstigt och märkligt. Ehud Barak är bevisligen knuten till pedofilen Epstein, så troligen finns det hållhakar på honom som globalisterna använder. Netanyahu måste alltså bort, och Ehud Barak skapar nu en rörelse som kallas de svarta flaggorna. Och det blev till en proteströrelse. Det här mönstret känner vi igen, för det är precis det mönster som drar över hela världen just nu för att söndra och splittra och skapa en världsregering. Det har med alltså hästarna att göra, kan vi ju förstå. 1. Han vill demonisera och kriminalisera Netanyahu. 2. Han vill skapa instabilitet och kaos i landet och på gatorna. 3. Han vill förändra saker som man aldrig får peta i Israel. Och det finns 3 områden som du absolut aldrig får peta på i Israel som är liksom heliga. A. Familjer som har förlorat medlemmar i det militära. B. Familjer som har förlorat medlemmar i förintelsen. C. Att skada den israeliska militären. Det här är Kit som håller ihop hela Israel. En gemensam sak alltså. Ehud Barak leder nu eliten, med de höga utbildningarna och rikaste människorna i Israel. Denna grupp av elitmänniskor försöker nu övertyga de mindre i samhället om att de har fel. Det här känner vi ju än, va? Vi ser otroligt nog att det är eliten som gör revolt mot en ledare som har valts på ett sant demokratiskt sätt. De säger nu att det de står för är demokrati, vilken är en lögn. Vi ser nu hur agendan har tagits in i självaste Israel och bereder dem för slutet och ändens tid. Mycket märkligt, för normalt sett så är det ju de längst ner som reser sig upp mot de styrande. Men detta är alltså helt det motsatta. Det vi nu har sett sedan regeringen startade i januari är en instabilitet och kaos i städer och gator. Nu ser vi alltså hur en stor del av det israeliska samhället följer denna Ehud Barak precis som han vore en slags messias. Och vi kan se att det orsakar kaos och förstörelse, och till och med att media är på deras sida. Och jag vill skicka ut en varning om media. Gå till Bibeln och tro ingen media. Men det finns en stor del av folket som inte riktigt går på det här, som tur är. En klok person i Israel sa följande till Amir. Att det rika och mäktigaste är lättast att bedra är ju därför att de tror sig ju redan veta allt och kan aldrig ha fel. Så det är alltså högmod med andra ord. Men de som är små och fattiga är ju alltid på sin vakt. För det måste de ju vara för att kunna överleva. Nu kan du se något otroligt. Dessa bildade människor kan alltså säga saker och ting som går rakt emot det sunda förnuftet. Ja, exakt. De säger saker som de vet faktiskt är en ren lögn. Vi ser alltså kaos och folk som redan är bedragna. Och detta sker inte bara i Israel utan det sker i hela världen. Och här följer nu videoklippet med Amir där han säger de här sakerna och det är textat till svenska. Gud välsigne er alla.
I thought that US politics was the biggest circus on the planet. And it might be, but unfortunately lately in Israel there seems to be another ring forming to this circus. Tell us, what's going on in Israel? What's the deal?
Well, it seems like we are going through what I call mass formation psychosis. I mean, really, what we are witnessing today is deception in levels we've never seen before, and the sheer chaos that is now part of almost every part of our society. Look, as you all know, Israel went through several election rounds. Ever since 2019, we had actually throughout COVID 4 different election rounds in which no one had a decisive victory. But way before that, let me take you all the way back to 2013 when Netanyahu's defense minister was Ehud Barak, who is a very decorated general in Israeli military, the chief of staff. And he was also the most failed prime minister in our history that was there for, I think, a year and a half only. Now, Ehud Barak was there as the defense minister of Netanyahu. Something happened to him between 2013 and 2016. We believe it had to do with being compromised by ways of visiting Jeffrey Epstein too many times. And he's on the record dozens of times. And you know that anyone that visited that island or anyone who visited his mansion in New York actually later on was compromised and now could be used by whatever it is, whether it's the globalists, the big families, or some intelligence organizations, whether it's America. I'm not sure what it is, but I do know one thing. Something snapped, something happened, and from 2016 we start hearing from that guy words and phrases that are very weird, such as we are on the brinks of becoming dictatorship. We are about to no longer exist as democracy. Netanyahu is going to bring Israel to a disaster. Stuff that, this guy was the defense minister of Netanyahu for all those years. Something happened. Someone is using him to remove one of the best prime ministers we ever had in our modern state of Israel. And so what happened is that from 2016, he started studying writings of anarchists that wrote books on how to eventually create some sort of revolution and walking on the brinks of almost breaking the law or civil unrest and all of these things. Eventually, in 2019, when he saw that the political constellation in Israel is so fragile, he decided to move forward, and he created a movement that is called the Black Flags movement. People standing with black flags saying it's the end of the world for us if Netanyahu is still the prime minister. Now, all of that while, and you'll see later on tonight the similarities, while literally framing Netanyahu as a criminal and sowing, we call it in Hebrew, sowing 5 different criminal charges against him that all of them so far were proved wrong. And
wait, I have to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Trump?
No. Yeah, okay, so you're also learning from us something. Yeah, and so the first phase was to demonize and criminalize Netanyahu. Second phase is to create instability in the streets. And the third phase, is to touch the things that nobody ever dared to touch in the Israeli society. There are some 3 sacred things for Israelis are these. 1, families that lost their children in the military. the bereavement, family who lost their members in the Holocaust. These are the things you don't touch. And the second thing is the Hippocratic oath. Doctors suddenly are joining the protest and leaving everything behind, all the patients. They postpone operations and medical procedures and just leave their offices and go to protest. And the third thing, causing the Israeli military, which is the melting pot of the Israeli society, causing the military to become a side and to pressure the government not to do things that the elected government was elected for. These are the three things you don't do. And so Barak is now leading like a false messiah. A whole group of people who are the elite, the most educated, the most sophisticated, and the most wealthiest people in Israel. People who have nothing to lose. He is leading them into convincing the less educated, the simple people, convincing them that they are wrong. It's not only that, they're actually saying this is a revolution where the elite is standing out against a government supported by the majority. It's very strange. Normally it's the opposite. Normally it's the lower levels of society that is rising up against the elite. This is the opposite. And ladies and gentlemen, what we're watching is, ever since January, when the government was sworn in, we see demonstration, we see chaos in the streets, and we see active people active in literally causing Israel to look bad all around the world. So that's what we have right now. It's interesting because biblically, the only time Israel is going to have clear mind and not following wrong people is the time when Jesus will come back. We know that. Until then, we know from the scriptures that Israel will always follow the wrong person. At this point, we have a big chunk of society that is holding this Ehud Barak almost as a false messiah, in a way. They don't think he's a false messiah, but shortly they will find out that he has nothing to offer and it's all just slogans. So chaos and deception, the media is on their side, but the people don't buy it. And there is still a majority of the Israelis that is not convinced. And when I was watching some interviews about the situation, one of the experts, she said, look, the elite, those educated, sophisticated people, they're the easiest to deceive. Why? Because their guards are down because they think they know everything. Those that are not the elite, their guards are always up because they always are afraid that someone is out there to deceive them. And that's what we see right now in Israel. You see people that are super educated and you have no idea how in the world do you say things like that when you know that the opposite is exactly the truth. Yep. So this is deception and chaos. I don't think they will win. I think that I know the end of the story. But what we're watching right now is just the beginning, and it's not only in Israel, as we will see this evening. It is a phenomenon that we're about to see all around the world, especially as we get closer and closer